Hey guys, so I recently took a trip to Joshua Tree, and if you saw my video up there, you'll see the trip. And during that trip, what I wanted to do was learn a few things about this new build that I'm doing right now, and the little nuances of it. So the focus of this build is a full-time build. The idea is that somebody would live in here full-time, so I wanted to kind of tinker this to that aspect. So I learned quite a few things, and today we're going to address some of the things I learned and hopefully fix some of the issues that I saw. So let's give it a shot. Okay, so a huge aspect of this full-time build was the aspect of energy and how I could, efficiently use energy living full-time in this van. And a lot of it has to do with my electrical system and powering things. So there are some things I needed to buy to address these issues that I saw, but other things I need to fix inside with my cab and non-electrical things. So first, we're going to go with the non-electrical things, and then we'll get to some of these electrical things later. All right, so the number one issue that I need to address is the sleeping arrangement. Well, so I slept in this bed, and I used a minimal mattress just to reduce weight and size and things like that. And I used a feather, a down sleeping bag, because look at the size of it, it's tiny. So one thing that I realize about this mattress is that it's just not soft enough. And for camping, it's going to be all right sleeping 1 or 2 nights, but if you're going to live full time, and you're going to need a thicker mattress. So I'm going to get a thicker mattress. And sleeping in a sleeping bag 1 or 2 nights, it's okay, but if you're going to sleep full time, you need normal blankets to be comfortable. So I'm going to keep this because it's actually really compact. I'm going to keep it as my guest sleeping bag so that they could have something warm to sleep in when I have guests. And yes, I'm going to design a way to have a guest sleep in here too. And I need to get a softer bed. So let's get a softer bed, then we could throw on some normal comforter blankets and be more comfortable with our full-time living. You guys knew I was going to find something old so I could repurpose, and this was from one of the futons of a previous build that I did. I kept the foam cushion, so it's basically a futon sofa thing. Okay, so that's the old mattress, and here's the new mattress. You could see it's gonna be more comfortable. I'm going to use this in my my Maverick camper build, because that needs to be really light and really compact, and it's not for full-time living. So this mattress pad is going to do just fine for 1 or 2 nights of sleeping, but for full-time living, I need more comfort. Get your knife. All right, that fit actually looks really good. Let's put on the sheets. Okay, so I'm just using regular fitted sheets, and the reason is I could just take it off and wash it so easy. So I don't bother getting some kind of custom upholstery on this or anything like that. Just a fitted sheet and just washing it whenever it gets dirty. Oh man, that is way softer than my old bed, and that's gonna do just fine. And of course, we're going back to the comforter. Actually, in the past I've used two, so I could adjust my temperature a little bit better. If I have a blanket that's too warm, it gets too hot, I get one that's too cold, so I actually just use two so that I could control how warm it is. And the other one you could just sleep on the bottom of. So there, number one priority was a more comfortable sleep. And I think I'm going to establish that with my thicker mattress and just comforter sheets. All right, the next thing I wanted to address was this right here, this leg, and I was wondering if I needed to cut it. I needed to cut it right here, and to give my feet room to slide in and out, you know, because it's already down here. And the idea was, did I need this space? And you know what? From moving in and out through my design, I found that this is actually not an issue. It's very easy to just slide over, and if I could keep this, I'd rather keep it because it gives my counter more strength. So if I cut it back, I'm going to lose a little bit, and I don't think it's worth it at all, because right now my legs have plenty of room and I could move in and out to this side no problem at all. So this is a no-do. I discovered that this is just fine as long as I have the space here. Now if this was all a wall, you know, I'd be pretty cramped, but since it's not, all I have to do is do that and I'm good. Alright, so this next thing I was hoping I didn't have to do, kind of like the support on the leg. I was hoping it would be fine, and it was, no problem. But this handle right here is a problem, and I was hoping it wouldn't be, but it is. The reason is, if I want to move in and out, I'm always hitting this handle, and I have to go around that handle to get in. So it's already a tight enough spot without this handle being here, so I need to get rid of it. I got rid of the other side already, and I did that in a previous video, so I'm going to do the same thing. Take off these panels and take off this handle. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's not hard, it's just a pain. So let's get rid of this handle. Alright, so that was a pain in the butt to remove, but that door handle or the grab handle is out. If you want to see how I did it, I'll leave a link in the description. There'll be a video link on how to remove this, so I do have a video for that already. So now you can see I can squeeze in and out without this getting in my way. Okay, so one key element of full-time living is that you really need to monitor your power consumption and your water consumption. We're not going to talk about water today. I'm going to address that in another day, but in the past, I've always used these type of butane grills, and they're great. They're lightweight, and the canisters are easy to replace, no problem. It's not a big, heavy propane bottle that you need to refill, and it was so convenient. I have no issues with this. You know, it's camping, cooking. It's great. The only problem is, if you're going to live full time, you probably don't want to use this canister to cook all the time, because it's going to cost you money. You know, you don't want to spend that kind of money. But if you could harness the power of the solar, of the sun, you could get free energy aside from your initial investment, of course. So what I'm moving to on this build is a more electricity-based cooking situation. Of course, you could still use the camping stove when you want to. But I used this induction cooktop for the first time on my camping trip, and again, if you saw that video, you would see this in action, and it worked great. You know, I could adjust the electricity, and it's actually really safe to use in the car too, because, you know, even though it's plugged in, you could actually even put your hand on it. The whole concept freaks me out, so I don't. But if you use the right kind of pots or pans, you can cook on here, and it'll just heat up the pot, but it won't heat up the pad itself, because that's not the way the induction works. It only works with metal. You can't use it on aluminum pots or anything like that, but you can use it to anything that'll stick, that a magnet will stick to, or you can use it on a cast iron pot. But again, these things are power hungry, so we're going to address that issue in a little bit too. But if you can use you know, electricity that you got from the sun, or maybe running your alternator for a while, you're probably in better shape if you're living full-time and you want to save some money. So this is pretty lightweight, and I could store it just about anywhere. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little shelf underneath to store this, so that it's nice and easy for me to get to when I want to cook, bring it out, and bring it out on top. So let's do the shelf. Okay, so the idea is I want to build a shelf and kind of put it up there so that it's out of the way and kind of in the back, so that my legs can still freely move and I could have easy access to my stove whenever I need it. Alright, so I contorted my body to its limits to get that shelf in there. You can see the shelf, and I have a little lip so the thing can't slide around. So let's put it in and take a look at it. Alright, you'll see I still have room for my legs. They don't hit that thing at all. So for the induction cooktop, put it in there, get the wire in, and I can actually push it back, and I could still have some room on the shelf for a few sorted other things. Let's take a closer look. Alright, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Worked out okay. So here's how it looks from the back side. Still room to add a few more items if I need to underneath. Maybe a pan or something. Okay, so you can see my induction cooktop, how I'm going to use the electricity. And on the trip, I was boiling water through this kettle, and again, that's using the butane. I want to stick with the induction. Well, I want to stick with using electricity. What I have is this really compact little hot water pot. So you can see it's like the size of a big mug, so it's going to be a perfect size, and it's going to use electricity. I'm going to plug it in. You can click the link up there if you want to see the unboxing of this and a little bit more details of the demo that I'm going to do in another video. But for this video, we're just going to show you how it fits well into my drawers, and it's going to fit the theme of my using more electricity as opposed to using the fuel. So again, I'll leave a link in the description for that too if you want to see the video for that. Almost forgot one last thing before I put this guy away. I got my new decals. Now it's ready to go back in the drawer. Alright, so while I was down there contorting my body, I added this power strip. This is a really cool little, what is it, Lee Chang power strip. I used for my previous build. It actually worked out pretty great. So I'm going to use it again for this build, and that's going to power my microwave and hot pot and things like that. So I'll leave a link in the description for that too if you're interested. Okay, so up next is the USB power port. So I do have USB power ports on this inverter. This is that 2000 watt Leap Trend inverter that I have down here, and there's a USB port. And I thought I could get away with just using this USB port if I want a live port, but I think I need a little bit more. And one of the reasons is that I always have to turn on the inverter to get to this for this USB to power up, but I got something to solve that problem. It's a power port, and I have an unboxing video. You could click the unboxing video up there, and I'll leave a link in the description for the video too if you want to see more in depth. But so this has my USB power ports and the accessories, and even a 12-volt port. And the nice thing is that it's already in a container. It's already in a box. I don't have to drill a hole in my wood or anything to get the ports. So I'm going a little bit easier with this path. You know, it gives me plenty of cable, so let's hook this up, and I think I got the perfect spot for this. Alright, so if this brand Redodo looks familiar to you, it's the same brand that I use for this car charger that I'm using to just plug into my outlet to charge my battery using the alternator. It's this Redodo brand. Alright, so let me show you what this looks like. So basically you just use this power port right here, plug it in, and that's it. So you tie this side to your battery and you're good to go, and you have your ports live. Of course, this is not tied yet. I'm going to hook it up and then tie it to the battery, and there's also an output, so if you could set another one of these in series in parallel if you need another one of these boxes, but I only need one. And I'm going to use this mounting thing in the back. You can see it slides in, but I'm going to see if I could use something to mount this onto something in my car and then slide it in a manner that doesn't put holes in my car. Okay, so moving to my bed, I wanted to put the port right here. I think this is a great spot for it because I could plug in my phone at night. I could plug in my iPad if I need to recharge or something like that. So I want to have the port somewhere like there or so, you know, somewhere sticking around here, and that's going to give me really good access to my ports at night, and while I'm in the car I'll still have easy access. So I'm going to find a way to mount it up to this thing without drilling in my car. I don't want to do that. Okay, so what I have here is just a wood block. I have another piece for a spacer, and you'll see why I need that in a little bit. And that here's that mount that it came with. It's going to go right on top like that. All right, so let's see how well my mount design works. Okay, let's put it in, and see, that's how I'm going to have this thing mounted, and then I'm going to put this right there. All right, I tried to fit it the first time, and I needed to put another spacer. It just, this lip right here was just too thick. So now I should be able to hang over the way I planned. All right, perfect. Let's take a look. All right, so that's how it looks in my thing. And there's the mounting bracket that I have. So it just hangs on top of that like that. So now, while I'm sleeping, you know, I could recharge my phone. I could put my phone here or there or something like that, no problem. Got the accessories if I need that. So now, all I need to do is plug it in. So now I'm going to plug it in down here, run the wires down to the battery. So I routed the line back over here, tidied up the line, and here it's tied to my power lines. So just like that, I got a power port, and look at that, it gives me voltage too, so that's great. Tells me how much I got left to go. So this is going to be a nice addition to my power system, and it's not tied to that inverter, so I could turn it on anytime I want, turn it off anytime I want. Alright, quick mention to this. I actually installed this a little while ago, and it's a solar charger for my car battery itself. I don't drive this van that often, so the regular car battery does get low sometimes. So I put a splitter on the solar panels, and I have a separate, cheaper solar charger for that. I mean, it's not as nice as my big one, but I do have that running, and I could unplug that at any time so that it doesn't split, so that all the power, all the solar charger goes to this guy. But while it sits and I'm not camping, it's just split between the two. Okay, so while I'm back here, I got one more thing I need to do to upgrade my power system back here for full-time living, and that is having an accurate battery monitor. Now this battery monitor, this is lead time. If that looks familiar, it's the same lead time that I have here for my big charge controller. So this is going to be a more accurate battery monitor than, you know, I have some. It's got a battery output right here, you know, and, you know, I got numbers everywhere, but it tells you the battery voltage level, but it won't tell you how much battery you have left. So if you are living full time, you do want to conserve power and know how much you have to use. So this is going to be more accurate because you could calibrate how much battery you have. So you basically you run your battery dry and you calibrate that as the dry part. You don't have to run it dry. You could run it to 90% or something, and that could be your low point if you never want to go below 90%. So whatever the case, it is calibratable, so that's a good thing, you know. So it comes with some good long wires, a nice big shunt, so that we need to install that. So anyways, I have the unboxing video of this guy too. If you could click the link up there, or I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see a more detailed unboxing of this. Okay, so this is the configuration we're going to hook it up in, and unfortunately you can't just hook the battery monitor just straight to the battery and that's it. You do have to go through this shunt right here, turn it upside down. So you do have to connect the battery through this battery negative and your power negative, and this is what the diagram is going to look like. So you go through the battery, you go through the shunt, and then from the shunt you go through your inverter and your charge controller. So I do have to install this. You do need a thick big wire to connect this guy, so that's the drawback. It is a, you know, it is going to handle a lot of current through this shunt, so you can't use a small wire. So let's hook that up. All right, so I made some high current line. This is 2 gauge wires, so it's very thick, so I'm going to put 2 in parallel. Right, so I got that shunt in between the battery and my my inverter right there. So if you never worked with thick 2 gauge wires before, you just know it is a pain in the butt. Anyway, so that's in, and I may or may not mount this up to here. I haven't decided yet. I think I'd rather prefer it holding like this because of that thick gauge wire. It's just so stiff. This might be better for. All right, so I got that power monitor powered up. There's the hookup. So now I need to find a place for this. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it here for now. I'm not gonna mount it on anything because I plan to build a cabinet here, and I do plan to mount it on the cabinet. So for right now, I'm just gonna leave it right there. And the last thing to do is to set this thing up. So let's follow the directions and set it up. All right, so now it's recharging really nicely. We're at 82%, and you can see we're at 13.3 volts. So that looks like it's working really well. So it looks like I'll have a lot more accurate reading of what battery I actually do have left. So that's great. All right, next up on the things I learned I needed, and what I also learned I needed, again, consistent with all this power upgrading I'm doing, I learned I needed a new portable power pack. And if you could see, this is a very old one. It's not very powerful, and I think it actually might even be a nickel metal hydride battery. It might not even be a lithium ion. That's how old this thing is. You know, it's not very big, doesn't last very long, but I got the solution to that too. So I got this little guy. It's this Blue Eddy power system. It's a AC2A. It's 300 watts, so it's not a big powerful one, and you can see because it's not very big. So that's going to be perfect because I got a lot of power back here already. I don't need a big power pack when I move around the campsite. And you can click the link up there, and I did a full unboxing of this too and some tests. But you can see it's a little bit bigger, but still really small and compact. And the nice thing about this sucker is that it fits right there. Of course, it got my Tiny Campers logo. That's also very nice. But this guy is going to allow me to move around the campsite and move it to one thing to another pretty easily. It could recharge my refrigerator. In that video up there, I tested it on the refrigerator and it works no problem. So this is going to be fantastic. It can go right there and it's out of the way. All right, so the last thing I realized I needed is that I needed to represent. So I got this from a viewer, and I'm going to put it right here, and I also ordered some of my own. I'm going to put it on the sides. All right, I got my decal on there, and another one on the side. So now I'm fully representing Tiny Campers. And you guys know what time that is, man. I did a few upgrades to this van, but I'm ready for a break, so it's Miller time. Quick shout out to viewer John Brown from Tower Grove Park for representing.